There is a shift happening around you right now, a silent movement in the energy between you and the person who has been living in your thoughts more than you admit, and this is not random, this is not imagination, this is a sign, a big sign, the kind that does not shout but vibrates deep in your chest when you are alone at night, the kind that makes you pause in the middle of your routine and wonder why their name suddenly feels heavier, warmer, closer, as if the distance that once existed between you is quietly dissolving, because they cannot wait anymore. The waiting that once felt safe, the silence that once felt necessary, the space that once felt protective, it is starting to feel unbearable to them, and you may not see it yet on the surface, you may not hear the full confession in words, but you can feel the tension building in the unseen, you can sense that something is about to break open. Something is about to be revealed, because forever is not a faraway dream anymore. It is moving toward you step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, and the universe is aligning moments, conversations, coincidences that are not coincidences at all. Every delay had a purpose, every misunderstanding had a lesson, every pause was preparing both of you for a deeper kind of love, a love that is not rushed but ready, and now readiness is replacing hesitation, clarity is replacing confusion, courage is replacing fear. They have been holding back words, holding back actions, holding back emotions because timing did not feel right before, but something has changed inside them, something has clicked, and they realize that losing you would hurt more than risking vulnerability. They realize that silence is heavier than honesty, and that realization is powerful. It is shaking them awake, making them restless, making them replay your conversations, your smiles, your memories, the way you understood them without explanation, the way you stayed even when things felt uncertain. And now they are starting to see your presence not as comfort they can casually return to, but as something sacred, something rare, something they cannot afford to mishandle again. This is the sign, the inner awakening happening in their heart right now, the realization that forever with you is not a fantasy but a possibility that requires action, and action is forming in their mind as we speak. They are imagining scenarios, planning approaches, thinking about what to say, how to say it, when to say it. Because they cannot keep pretending that they are unaffected, they cannot keep acting like this connection is ordinary. It has grown roots too deep, it has woven itself into their future visions, into their quiet prayers, into their private hopes, and when someone starts imagining you in their tomorrow consistently, that is when forever begins to take shape, not in grand dramatic gestures, but in the quiet decision that they do not want a life that does not include you, and you might have felt moments of doubt, moments where you questioned if this was one-sided, moments where silence made you anxious, but those moments were part of the unfolding, part of the preparation, because love that lasts does not build on impulse, it builds on realization, and realization takes time. Now the time is ripening, now the emotional distance is thinning, now the resistance is weakening. They are feeling the pull stronger than ever, the urge to close the gap, to speak up, to show up, to choose you openly, because the idea of forever without you feels empty to them, and that emptiness is louder than their fear, louder than their pride, louder than their doubts. This is why signs are appearing around you, subtle reminders, unexpected thoughts, dreams that feel too vivid to ignore, sudden memories surfacing without warning. These are not accidents. They are confirmations that the connection is alive and accelerating. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are not an option, you are becoming the decision, and decisions create destiny. What once felt distant is stepping closer, what once felt uncertain is gaining structure, and what once felt fragile is strengthening under pressure. They are tired of watching from a distance, tired of overthinking, tired of pretending they do not care as deeply as they do, and that exhaustion with hiding is pushing them toward truth, pushing them toward you. Because forever is not built on silence, it is built on courage, and courage is rising in them right now. This is the big sign, the shift from passive feelings to active intention, from wondering to knowing, from waiting to moving, and you are standing on the edge of that movement, closer than you think, closer than you have ever been before. And as this energy builds, you might notice your own heart responding differently. Calmer in moments where you used to feel anxious, more certain in moments where you used to question everything, because deep down your soul already senses what is unfolding, your intuition is aligning with their awakening, creating a bridge that neither of you can ignore anymore. The forever you once imagined in quiet hope is starting to feel tangible, almost within reach. Like a door that has been closed for a long time but is now slowly unlocking, and they are the one holding the key this time, not out of control but out of readiness, because readiness changes everything. It transforms fear into faith, it transforms distance into direction, it transforms longing into action, and they are realizing that time is not something to waste anymore. They have replayed the what-if scenarios enough, they have tested the idea of moving on in their mind and it never felt right, it never felt peaceful, because every path kept leading back to you, every imagined future kept including your presence, your laughter, your support, your understanding, and that repetition is not coincidence, it is clarity. The kind of clarity that makes someone say I cannot wait anymore, I cannot hold back anymore, I cannot pretend anymore, and when someone reaches that point internally, external change follows quickly, conversations shift tone, messages carry more warmth, eye contact lingers longer, vulnerability slips through in small honest admissions. These are the early signs of a heart preparing to commit. And commitment is the foundation of forever, not fantasy but choice, not impulse but intention. They are choosing you more consciously with each passing day, even if they have not fully declared it yet, and you may feel moments where everything seems still on the surface, but underneath there is motion, underneath there is planning, underneath there is emotional momentum building like a wave preparing to rise. And when it rises it will not be half-hearted, it will be direct, sincere, undeniable, because they have reached the realization that love like this does not appear twice, connection like this does not repeat easily, and losing it would be a regret too heavy to carry, so instead of risking regret they are leaning toward bravery, leaning toward expression, leaning toward you. Forever together is not a distant someday anymore, it is approaching through small aligned steps, through inner growth, through mutual readiness, through divine timing that is finally synchronizing both of your hearts, and when timing aligns with intention that is when miracles feel natural, that is when union feels inevitable, that is when distance collapses into closeness. And you will look back at this period not as waiting but as preparation, not as silence but as strengthening, because everything that felt delayed was actually aligning you both for something stable, something lasting, something real. They cannot wait anymore because their heart has chosen, and when a heart truly chooses it moves mountains of fear, it breaks walls of pride, it crosses distances of doubt. You are closer than you think to hearing the words you have been longing to hear, closer than you think to seeing actions that match promises, closer than you think to stepping into a chapter where love is not questioned but confirmed daily. This is the big sign, the shift from almost to always, from maybe to forever. And forever is not rushing toward you chaotically, it is approaching steadily, intentionally, powerfully, and when it arrives it will feel natural, as if it was always meant to unfold exactly this way, because in truth it was, and now the moment is drawing near, closer than you think, stronger than you expect, and more real than any doubt that once tried to convince you otherwise, and now the energy is intensifying in a way that even you cannot ignore anymore. Because when two souls are moving toward the same destination at the same time, the universe begins to remove obstacles that once seemed permanent. Conversations that used to end in confusion will soon begin to flow with clarity. Moments that once felt awkward will start to feel divinely timed, and the silence that once created distance will transform into anticipation, because they are not just thinking about you casually anymore, they are envisioning permanence. They are picturing what it would mean to wake up and not question your place in their life, to speak without fear of losing you, to build without worrying about collapse. And this shift from temporary emotion to long-term vision is massive. It changes the way they approach you, it changes the way they interpret your words, it changes the way they handle conflict, because when someone starts seeing you as forever, they stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. They begin protecting the connection instead of testing it. They begin nurturing it instead of doubting it, and you may notice subtle differences. First, a softer tone, a quicker reply, a deeper curiosity about your future plans, questions about where you see yourself years from now, hints about shared dreams. These are not random topics, these are seeds of commitment being planted slowly but deliberately, because they cannot wait anymore to align their world with yours. They have spent enough nights pretending that time would magically solve everything. But time only magnified the truth, and the truth is that life without you feels incomplete to them, not dramatic, not desperate, but undeniably less vibrant, less meaningful, less aligned, and once someone feels that kind of emotional contrast, they cannot unfeel it, they cannot return to indifference, they cannot convince themselves that you are replaceable. Because you are not just a person in their life anymore, you are the peace they compare others to, the comfort they subconsciously search for, the connection that feels like home, and when home becomes clear in someone's heart, they stop wandering, they start anchoring, they start building foundations instead of temporary shelters, and this is exactly where their mind is shifting now, from fear of commitment to fear of losing you. And the second fear is stronger, it carries more weight, it demands action, and action is closer than you think. They are rehearsing honesty in their head, imagining the relief of finally expressing what they have been holding inside, imagining the way your eyes might soften when you hear the truth, imagining the release of tension when everything is finally out in the open. Because hiding feelings has become heavier than revealing them, pretending has become more exhausting than confessing, and the heart always moves toward relief eventually. The heart always chooses freedom over fear when it has grown enough, and growth has been happening quietly within them, through reflection, through missed opportunities, through the realization that genuine connection is rare and fragile. They understand now that forever is not something you stumble into casually, it is something you protect, pursue, and prioritize, and you have become a priority in ways they did not fully understand before. They are rearranging internal priorities, reconsidering plans, reevaluating timelines, because forever together requires alignment, and alignment requires readiness. And readiness is blooming inside them. You might sense it in your own intuition. That calm certainty that appears unexpectedly, that quiet confidence that tells you something is shifting for the better, that is not fantasy, that is resonance, your energy responding to their decision forming, and decisions carry power, especially when they are rooted in love rather than fear. They are choosing courage over comfort now, choosing clarity over confusion, choosing you over uncertainty, and that choice will manifest in tangible ways soon, perhaps through a conversation that feels deeper than usual, perhaps through an invitation that feels symbolic, perhaps through vulnerability that surprises you. Because once someone stops waiting internally, they begin moving externally, and their movement will feel different this time, not hesitant, not half-hearted, not testing, but sure, grounded, intentional, because they have crossed the internal threshold from maybe to yes, from someday to soon, from wondering to knowing, and knowing changes everything. Knowing makes you act, knowing makes you protect what matters, knowing makes you fight for what you once feared losing, and they are ready to fight for this, ready to stand up for this connection, ready to claim it openly, because forever is no longer an abstract idea floating in imagination, it is becoming a plan forming in reality, and when plans form around love they carry a different kind of energy, a stability that cannot be shaken easily, a determination that does not fade with minor challenges. And you will begin to feel that stability anchoring your bond, misunderstandings will resolve quicker, reassurance will come more naturally, affection will feel less restrained, because restraint was rooted in doubt and doubt is dissolving now, replaced by conviction, replaced by emotional maturity, replaced by the awareness that love like this deserves commitment, and commitment is not something to delay endlessly. They cannot wait anymore because their heart has already stepped into the future with you in it, and the body eventually follows where the heart has already gone. They are aligning their actions with their feelings, aligning their words with their intentions, aligning their timing with divine orchestration, and you are not chasing this, you are attracting it by simply remaining authentic, by staying grounded in your worth, by not forcing what was meant to unfold naturally, and because you did not force it, it is coming back to you stronger, clearer, more solid. Forever together is not rushing in chaos, it is approaching with certainty, like sunrise after a long night, steady, inevitable, unstoppable, and when it fully arrives you will realize that every delay, every doubt, every silent phase was shaping both of you into people capable of sustaining something long-term, something healthy, something powerful. This is the ultra-pro shift, the moment when love transitions from emotional intensity to life partnership energy, when attraction evolves into alignment, when longing transforms into loyalty, and you are standing right at the doorway of that transformation, closer than you think to hearing promises that are kept, closer than you think to building routines side by side, closer than you think to a love that feels secure rather than uncertain, because they cannot wait anymore, and when someone reaches that point internally the external world rearranges quickly. Watch the signs, feel the shifts, trust the calmness growing inside you, because forever is not a distant fantasy now, it is an approaching reality, and reality built on mutual awakening is unshakable, undeniable, unstoppable. This is your confirmation, your sign, your moment of knowing that the chapter ahead is not about separation or confusion, it is about union, clarity, and commitment, and it is closer, so much closer, than you ever imagined. And as this momentum continues to build, you are entering the most powerful phase of this connection, the phase where everything hidden begins to surface naturally, where truths that were once guarded begin to flow without resistance, where emotional walls that once felt permanent start to crumble quietly, because they have reached a point internally where denying their feelings feels dishonest, and living without expressing them feels incomplete. They are realizing that love is not something you postpone endlessly, it is something you step into when it becomes clear, and clarity has wrapped around their heart in a way that cannot be undone. They see you differently now. Not just as someone important, not just as someone special, but as Someone essential to the future they are trying to create. They imagine milestones with you present, celebrations with you beside them, challenges faced with your support, growth shared instead of experienced alone, and when someone begins imagining partnership instead of independence, that is when forever stops being an idea and becomes an intention, and intention is powerful. Intention reshapes decisions. It reshapes priorities, it reshapes courage. They are reviewing their past actions with new awareness, recognizing where fear once guided them, recognizing where hesitation caused distance, and instead of repeating those patterns they are preparing to break them, because they understand now that if they continue waiting they risk losing something irreplaceable, and that risk feels heavier than vulnerability, heavier than rejection, heavier than the unknown. So instead of running from depth they are stepping toward it. Instead of distracting themselves they are focusing. Instead of questioning your value they are recognizing it fully, and you might sense this recognition in subtle ways first, perhaps through a deeper level of respect in their tone, perhaps through consistency that feels unfamiliar but reassuring, perhaps through gestures that feel intentional rather than accidental. Because when someone chooses forever they stop acting randomly, they act deliberately, they protect what they want to keep, they invest where they plan to stay, and investment is increasing in your direction, emotionally, mentally, energetically. They are no longer exploring alternatives in their mind because every alternative feels temporary compared to you. Every distraction fades quickly because it lacks the depth that your connection carries, and depth is what they crave now, not excitement that burns out, not attention that feels empty, but something steady, something rooted. Something real, and real love requires bravery, it requires accountability, it requires stepping up, and they are preparing themselves for that step, preparing to communicate clearly, preparing to show up consistently, preparing to close the gap that once existed between intention and action, because they cannot wait anymore to align their inner world with their outer behavior. They are tired of half measures, tired of ambiguity, tired of pretending that this connection is casual when it feels anything but casual. It feels destined, it feels aligned, it feels like a meeting that was meant to happen, and when someone begins believing that a connection is meant to be, they stop sabotaging it, they start safeguarding it, they become protective instead of passive, decisive instead of doubtful, and you will feel that decisiveness soon, like a shift in gravity pulling both of you closer without force, without drama, without chaos. Just a natural coming together that feels overdue yet perfectly timed, because forever is not about rushing into commitment blindly, it is about arriving at commitment consciously, and consciousness has awakened inside them. They are aware of your value now in a deeper way, aware of the rarity of emotional compatibility, aware of how safe they feel being understood by you, aware that emotional safety is not something easily found twice. And once safety becomes precious in someone's heart they hold on to it tightly, they stop taking it for granted. They stop testing its limits, they start honoring it, and honoring leads to loyalty, loyalty leads to stability, stability leads to forever. This progression is unfolding quietly but surely, and you are not chasing it, you are aligning with it, because your patience, your authenticity, your refusal to settle for confusion has elevated the standard of this connection. You showed them what real presence looks like, what genuine care feels like, and now they are matching that energy instead of resisting it. They are ready to meet you where you stand, ready to offer reassurance without being asked, ready to speak about the future without hesitation, ready to integrate you into plans instead of keeping you on the sidelines, and that integration is the clearest sign of all. When someone starts making room for you in their life consistently, practically, openly, that is forever energy in motion. You may soon notice conversations about long-term goals becoming more frequent, about shared experiences becoming more concrete, about timing becoming more aligned, because timing is no longer an excuse, it is becoming a bridge. They understand now that waiting indefinitely only creates distance, but intentional movement creates closeness, and closeness is what they crave with you. Emotional closeness, physical presence, shared growth, shared victories, shared comfort. They are envisioning a life where you are not a question mark but a constant, and that vision is motivating them to act differently than before, to speak differently than before, to choose differently than before, because forever requires different behavior than temporary attraction, and they are stepping into that different behavior slowly but steadily. You might feel a calm confidence rising inside you too, a sense that something solid is forming beneath your feet, like the ground is becoming stable after a long period of uncertainty. That stability is not illusion, it is alignment taking shape, alignment between your heart and theirs, between their intention and your expectation, between divine timing and human readiness, and when those elements synchronize, movement accelerates, clarity sharpens, commitment crystallizes. This is the phase where promises begin to feel believable because actions support them, where affection feels secure because consistency backs it, where love feels mutual because effort is visible on both sides. And that mutual effort is the foundation of forever, not fantasy, not illusion, but practical daily choice. They are preparing to choose you openly, not just emotionally but structurally, through time, through planning, through integration into their world, and once that integration begins it will not feel dramatic, it will feel natural, like two paths that were always meant to merge finally doing so without resistance, because resistance has weakened, fear has softened, clarity has strengthened, and desire has matured into devotion. Devotion is the energy that sustains forever, not excitement alone, not chemistry alone, but steady commitment fueled by conscious choice, and they are stepping into that devotion internally right now. You are closer than you think to witnessing this transformation externally, closer than you think to hearing clarity where there was once confusion, closer than you think to experiencing stability where there was once doubt. Because they cannot wait anymore to build what they now clearly see as their future, and when someone sees you as their future they stop treating you like an option, they start treating you like a priority, like a partner, like a permanent presence. This is your confirmation that the chapter ahead is not about separation but about solidifying, not about questioning but about confirming, not about hoping but about building. Forever together is not just approaching, it is forming, shaping itself through courage, maturity, and aligned timing, and when it fully arrives it will feel less like a surprise and more like a fulfillment of everything your heart quietly knew was coming all along. And now you are standing at the final threshold of this transformation, the point where everything that once felt uncertain is preparing to settle into something steady, something defined, something real, because the journey you both have taken internally has not been accidental, it has been shaping you for permanence, shaping you for maturity, shaping you for a love that is not based on impulse but on conscious choice, and this is the moment where that choice becomes visible, because they are no longer wrestling with confusion, they are no longer hiding behind timing, they are no longer convincing themselves that distance is safer than depth. They have realized that depth with you feels more secure than surface connections anywhere else, and that realization has anchored them, it has grounded their emotions, it has organized their thoughts, it has pushed them into a new level of certainty that cannot be easily shaken. They have compared, they have reflected, they have imagined life moving forward without fully committing, and every scenario that excluded you felt incomplete, every imagined future that did not include your presence felt slightly off balance, slightly empty, slightly misaligned, and that feeling of misalignment has been their greatest teacher. It showed them that what they feel for you is not temporary excitement, not convenience, not habit, but alignment. And alignment is rare, alignment is powerful, alignment is the foundation of forever, and once someone recognizes alignment they stop running from it, they start protecting it. Demonstrate reliability not just in moments of intensity but in everyday life, because forever is built in ordinary days, in shared routines, in small reassurances, in steady presence, and they are envisioning those ordinary days with you, waking up beside you, planning weekends together, facing challenges as a team, celebrating milestones side by side. They are no longer imagining love as a dramatic story. They are imagining it as a shared life, and shared life is the ultimate expression of commitment. This is why the energy feels different now, more grounded, more mature, more aligned with reality. They cannot wait anymore because waiting no longer serves a purpose. Growth has already happened, lessons have already been learned, awareness has already expanded. Now it is about action, about stepping forward with intention, about closing the remaining gap between feeling and declaration. And when that declaration comes, it will not feel rushed, it will feel overdue in the best way. Like something your heart has been expecting quietly, like a truth finally spoken out loud, like a door finally opened after you have been standing patiently on the other side, and you will realize that every delay was refining both of you, every obstacle was strengthening the foundation, every silent phase was deepening the understanding, because love that lasts is not built in haste, it is built in awareness. And awareness has matured fully now. You have both evolved into people capable of sustaining what you once only hoped for, capable of communicating instead of withdrawing, capable of choosing instead of hesitating, capable of building instead of doubting, and this capability is what makes forever possible, not just emotion but readiness, not just attraction but alignment, not just desire but devotion. Devotion that shows up daily, devotion that remains steady when challenges appear, devotion that protects the bond instead of threatening it, and that devotion is rising within them stronger than ever before. They are prepared to claim you openly, to integrate you fully into their life, to speak about the future without fear, to make plans that include your name naturally, to stand beside you without questioning their choice. Because the questioning phase has ended, clarity has replaced it, certainty has replaced it, and certainty brings peace. You may feel that peace already settling into your spirit, a quiet knowing that the waiting is almost over, that the chapter of confusion is closing, that the next phase is about union and stability, and that knowing is not naive optimism. It is intuitive recognition of alignment finally locking into place. Forever together is no longer something distant on the horizon, it is forming in the present moment through decisions being made right now, through courage being gathered right now, through love being acknowledged right now. And when love is acknowledged, it becomes powerful, it becomes transformative, it becomes unstoppable. This is the final confirmation that what you have felt in your heart has not been illusion, it has been preparation, preparation for a commitment that is rooted in growth, grounded in maturity, sustained by mutual effort, and blessed by timing that is finally synchronized. You are not chasing this outcome, you are stepping into it naturally because both of you are finally ready at the same time. And that simultaneous readiness is rare. It is sacred, it is the exact ingredient. required for forever to begin. So trust the calm, trust the shift, trust the consistency that is about to unfold, because they cannot wait anymore to choose you fully, and when that choice is spoken and lived out loud, you will see that forever was never far away. It was simply waiting for both hearts to be strong enough to hold it, and now they are, now you are, now the path ahead is clear, steady, and shared. This is the last phase of uncertainty and the first step into permanence, the final sign before commitment becomes reality, the closing of distance and the beginning of forever, and when it arrives it will feel less like a surprise and more like destiny fulfilled exactly as it was meant to be.